Comfort zone, dog.
Shane's on the 1 and 2s today, so if there's a problem, you can yell at me personally.
Oh, are we hot?
We're hot. Hot mic.
We're hot. We're hot. It's hot outside,
It's
baby.
a heat wave.
We're in a heat wave.
Yeah. This is probably the latest to deadline we have recorded an episode, I think. Is that true?
I feel like we did it one other day where we had to turn it around within
That same day.
The same day.
Yeah. That's where we're at.
If I remember correctly, maybe not though. Maybe it was a Saturday.
I think we did like a Friday for Sunday once.
I thought we did a Saturday to Sunday. I feel like I've definitely edited one all on a Sunday.
Yeah, marathon style.
In anticipation for it. But I don't think we've recorded all on one Sunday.
Well, we're doing it now.
Yeah.
We're chilling.
This is the kind of work we do for you guys.
Sunday, June 22nd, 2025. America at war? Heat wave through East Coast. So it fucking rained this morning.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Big thunder crack.
Yeah, I saw some light. I came out here at like 10 and I saw some lightning and I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
Damn. But I didn't see any rain. That was the weird thing.
Yeah. I didn't really. I caught a little drizzle. I did go out for a sandwich, a little breakfast Sammy. Nice. Now that my stomach's feeling better. The whole reason we're doing this marathon is.
Yeah, the reason we had delay.
I got food poisoning from halal.
Well, we shouldn't put the halal. Was it halal guys?
No, they don't exist anymore. It's another halal.
They got rid of the halal guys?
Well, it's not like gone off the face of the earth, but it's not in the Upper West Side anymore.
They closed that restaurant.
They replaced it with another halal place. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm not going to besmirch them. Though I do think they might have given me food poisoning. I don't know. I don't know, but either way, I was pretty dang ill the last 2 days.
You were down for the count.
Yeah. So now, we're doing this marathon style on a Sunday.
I'm just glad you're feeling better. Yeah.
Yeah, man,
I like
it's
a Sunday little pod.
I haven't really had many run-ins with food poisoning.
Yeah.
Last year, it wasn't as bad as last year. I did it with like eggs.
You had the bad
which apparently
eggs.
is crazy because eggs, you only have like. It's very rare there are bad eggs. It's like 1 in every like 6 cartons there might be a bad egg.
Yeah. That's still a lot.
I might be making that
That's
up.
a lot. You just pulled a statistic out of your ass. That's still a lot of eggs. 1 out of every 6 cartons has a bad egg in it.
All right. I don't remember I feel like the number 6 was in whatever statistic I read.
Sure. The devil's number.
Either way, it's not like apparently it's hard to get food poisoning from eggs, and I did it. So I did last year.
I would take that as a point of pride, honestly, that you were able to fuck up yourself.
I will say, best part of food poisoning, ginger ale. All you can drink ginger ale.
I thought you were going to say the weight loss.
No, I know that. I know that you can buy ginger ale and have it whenever you want.
Yeah. But you need a reason for it.
It feels dirty doing it without being sick.
It feels dirty.
It feels like,
like a crime.
Or on an airplane. You can do it on an airplane.
Sure.
Too. That's another good time to get ginger ale.
But then it's like, isn't it a smaller ginger ale than you would normally get? I feel like everything on an airplane
sometimes.
is smaller.
Depends on what airline. Some of those airlines do go cheap.
I'm going to be flying in a couple of weeks. I haven't been on an airplane in years.
You're flying to Florida.
We're going to Orlando, Florida. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to meet Mickey Mouse. I'm gonna fucking choke them out. I'm gonna be like, "Tell me your secrets. Where are the bodies?"
Yeah,
That'll be fun. It'll be good. Oh yeah, hold on. This is a Drew Carey show podcast. I forgot for a second. Shit.
I forgot.
Yeah, hold on.
All right, we'll restart.
Welcome to Cleveland Rocks. It's America's favorite, and as far as we know, only Drew Carey show rewatch podcast.
Yes,
I'm Shane.
I'm TJ. Season 3, episode 18
and 19. We're following up the
engagement.
The engagement drama. Now.
Yeah.
It continues.
Season 3, episode 18 is called Nicki's Parents.
Yes,
so you can guess where this is headed.
Yes, we start with the fellas in Winfred Louder in the office. Drew and Oswald, they're shopping for engagement rings with, I guess, like the department store jeweler.
Yes,
who she came up. I thought that was real nice. She came up to Drew's office for that.
Yeah,
she wants
they
to
didn't
make
have to go down to the floor. Well, I guess she did say she works on commission.
Yeah, she's hustling. Absolutely.
Although I did like that she was. So it appears they're looking at diamonds.
Yeah.
And then it quickly becomes revealed, oh no, Drew makes a comment, I didn't realize how affordable diamonds are.
Right, because she's like $300 and you can get the ring.
And she has been she took the liberty of guessing what Drew's price range would be.
That's right.
And those are not real diamonds.
No, they are diamond L's.
Yes.
So they're kind of offended. At least Drew is. And she picks out Drew immediately, like his haircut, and she could tell like the shirt, and like she's like, looks like you'd won that tie at a carnival.
Yeah.
Like she's like, she knows that he can't afford actual diamonds.
Didn't he? He said he won it. It was like buying enough gas, premium
Yeah,
gas.
it was premium gas from a gas station. They gave him the tie.
That's kind of a cool tie.
I would wear gas station clothing if it was free.
Yeah.
So anyway, no, but then she pulls out real diamond rings for them to look at. She warns them they're pricey. And, you know, they start looking and they find ones that they like. But Drew, just to make sure it will fit Nicki, pulls out a cooked sausage.
Yes. I like that it was cooked.
Yeah, I did enjoy that little detail.
I
you
guess
can see the lines on it, the grill
Right.
lines. And the seller's like confused, and Drew's like, well, we were making hot dogs one time and we almost had an unfortunate accident, and I realized that Nicki's fingers look exactly like sausages. So and then we get the scene of him.
Sticks a ring.
He's wiggling a hot dog
Yeah.
with a diamond ring on it.
He's like, wow, it looks nice.
Yeah.
So anyway, he does pick that one. He goes with a tiny diamond, a tiny rock. We don't know the cuts, so we can't get into specifics here. But Oswald went with the big and imperfect one.
Yes.
For Kate.
And Drew went with one that he asked the seller if he could get it tonight.
Yes.
And we find out that he's supposed to have dinner with Nicki's parents, the Pfeiffers,
Yeah.
that evening. And he was like, I would love to have this diamond ring for her when I go to meet the parents.
Yeah.
And that's when we get a lot of fucking sass from this jeweler.
Yes.
She's like, what do you want me to propose for you too? And this, that, the other, you know. Oh, the employee discount.
Yeah.
That's what really, Drew's like, don't forget the employee discount. He's like, oh yeah, what percentage do you want off? And Drew's like, well, I'd like 75% off of that sass.
But he does get 25% off.
25 is a pretty good
25 is a
discount.
big if you're like buying a $4,000 ring, let's just guess.
Yeah. I think that's probably right. 4,000.
That 25 off is crazy.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
a significant amount.
And then
that's $1,000.
yeah, that's $1,000.
I had to do very basic math. I was like, fuck, hold on. 25%.
But then he also had a coupon.
Yes.
So that's pretty awesome. Although, really, the reality is you wouldn't be able to use that coupon and get an employee discount. Come on. We've all worked in a real world here.
Yeah, they're not going to
give you both.
No, they ain't going to add them together. Well, a boy can dream. A man can dream. He's not a child.
Kate get into
comes up.
coupons.
You couldn't get into coupons?
No, I should get into coupons.
That does seem like some shit.
I've always wanted to be a coupon guy. I save them.
Yeah.
Like you go to Old Navy or you get some shit in the mail. I get mailed like coupons. It'll be like, get 20% off at Wonder. I don't know what Wonder is, but you see Wonder.
Wonder's like the group of restaurants.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, but I have their coupons.
Yeah.
There's also one for Joybird, the couch people.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know. I get lots of
You
coupons.
should keep those. Stasia takes the receipts that we get from like CVS
pharmacy.
Yeah, and then she'll scan them. There's like some app that you scan them into, and then it gives you reward points or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
She's next level.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's good.
But no, I couldn't give a fuck about coupons. I should. It's just, you know what? If you like, that's what it is. When they put them on a receipt, I'm like, I'm not keeping the receipt.
Yeah.
Because this thing's like, it's so fucking long.
Yeah.
What do you want? No. No, you keep that. Save the environment.
Yeah. What am I gonna?
Email me. Email me the coupons. I'd be more inclined to use it.
I act like I would read any of that. Anytime I've gotten your receipt email, I've just trash.
Immediately trashed.
Anyway.
Kate comes up and Kate's like, hey, what did you want me for? And Drew didn't call her up. So we learn this is Wick. Wick gathers the staff around to congratulate them on two miracles. The first one is Carey got engaged, and then he qualifies to a woman, and he qualifies again who was born a woman, because this is 1997.
Yes.
Lest we forget.
I like that you qualified it as like, because this is 1997. Like, we wouldn't hear that joke on like a Tim Allen sitcom now. On Fox.
Right. Yeah, no, Drew. Tim does that stuff. What is it? He's like a repairman now or something.
Yeah.
He's like an auto mechanic, and that cat Dennings is his daughter or something.
Right.
Every so often, I think they just shuffle around like white actresses, and they're like, "Okay, you're gonna be Tim Allen's daughter now, and you're gonna play the dumb liberal, and he's gonna outsmart
and he's gonna
you.
shit on you,
yeah. And he's
for
just
having beliefs.
He's gonna use his hands a whole lot. Though the last one, that Last Man Standing, he was a blogger. I don't think people know that.
Yo,
and I just want to make sure you know he was like a video blogger, and every episode would end with him like, I don't know, talking to camera about how Barack Obama was wrong or something. But like that was the whole. I was like, oh,
damn,
so
he was on his InfoWars shit.
No, it was like a camping vlogger.
Yeah,
but still, you're a YouTuber, dude. Shut the fuck up. Don't tell me you're better than me. Podcaster. Derogatory. But yeah, no. So then, Oswald and Kate have a moment. Kate's trying to talk with him, and being like, "Oh, I just love you, and you're my best friend," and all this. And Lewis enters the scene, and Oswald completely stops paying attention to whatever the fuck Kate's saying, and goes right over to Lewis. And Kate like has an issue with this. She's like, "I know you guys are like best friends and former roommates and things, but it's not cool that like he takes precedent, it seems."
Yeah. Well, he's constantly sort of hovering over their relationship as he is in this scene when he sort of walks up.
He also like micromanages Oswald a little bit. Like
the sideburns.
We find out he says his sideburns are looking scruffy, and he's like, "Hey, I'll trim those up this weekend."
Yeah.
And Kate thinks that's weird. I gotta be honest though, Drew then sticks up for them and does a show of hands of how many guys cut other guys' haircuts. We would cut each other's hair.
We do that shit.
We've been doing necklines.
Neck.
Absolutely.
I would help him get the long spots on his head when he'd shave it.
When I was buzzing it. Yeah, for sure.
We totally do that.
I don't think
that's
it's
just
that
what you
weird.
do when you're roommates.
Yeah, exactly. No, literally, me and you are very Oswald Lewis coded. I don't think we've.
Yes.
I don't think we've delved into this enough on the pod.
Damn, I just think about Oswald and Lewis doing a recap pod of
their
the Drew
own show.
Carey.
Yeah. It would kind of be like this.
Yeah,
it would 1,000% be.
No, but
the one other thing he does though is, so in addition to the haircut, we find out that he sings Oswald's songs to cheer him up, which I was like, that's such a fun little detail.
It was so
Oswald,
nice.
in the same way, Drew's like, who doesn't cut their buddy's hair? Oswald's like, and who doesn't have their buddies sing them a little song when they're sad, and nobody else agrees with it. And I was like, oh man, it's okay, buddy. It's
and then Kate does storm out of this scene.
She's like, we got to fix this.
And then
Oswald's so downtrodden, and Lewis just comes in and starts singing "Tomorrow" by Annie. But the beautiful thing is, everyone joins in. Drew and
full
Wick,
cast.
We get the whole background
arm
staff.
in arm.
Tomorrow. They
had a nice harmony at the end.
They did.
I was like, all right, there you go with this musical show.
Yeah. I wonder if that's on the DVD. I wonder if that's probably okay. Actually.
Yeah, I think that one's fine.
But there's another musical moment later on in the next episode that I was also like, I don't know if they can put that in.
Is there?
The fridge.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Forgot.
Though it seemed like it was almost an original thing. We're going to get to it later,
we'll get there.
But yeah, so
that's called a tease.
That's a tease, baby. Then we get the titles.
We come back in and we're, well, at first in my notes, I wrote, at a therapist.
Yes.
I quickly realized this is not a therapist, but a priest.
Yeah.
They're calling him father.
I like to think that priests are therapists from God.
Yes.
You know?
Sure.
That's how I'm sure they try to
They
sell
are
themselves.
guiding lights. They help us out of dark times,
Amen,
apparently.
amen. No, they're seeking marriage counseling from a priest.
Yes.
Which is, they're not married yet. So it's like relationship counseling.
But it's relationship counseling.
Sure.
They're about to be married, whatever it is. They're sitting there, and Kate is delving into just like her problems, is just how much Lewis is around.
Yeah. To that point, Oswald brings up that Lewis drove them to the priest today.
Yes.
So the priest starts giving advice on how they can interact with each other better as a couple and improve communication. And as they're doing this, Lewis creeps into the background. There's a giant window behind the priest.
Yes.
So he starts distracting Oswald, making a bunch of goofy faces.
And he has puppets.
At one
he
point,
has like a nun
out
puppet.
A nun that like it's a boxing thing. So you press, I guess, a button on the side and it starts punching him. Oh man. Yeah, it was a good bit. It was fun.
Yeah. So Lewis is out there, and then Kate's like, "Can I go use the bathroom?"
Sneaks
she goes
back
out,
outside.
sneaks back there.
Yeah.
kicks the shit out of
physically
Lewis.
punches him, not just a puppet shit.
Right.
Actually beats his ass.
Yeah.
No, it's fun.
So nothing accomplished in this first meeting with the father. It ends with Oswald saying, "Let's pray."
Father, let's pray. Get on their knees. Worried about his buddy.
Yes.
Drew. Then we see at the restaurant in the evening.
Yes,
meeting
the
Pfeiffers.
dinner that he teased with Nicki's parents.
Yes, the apropos dinner. He asks the server beforehand how he looks, and the server's like, "You really want me to be honest with you?" And he's like, "No, I can't handle the truth." He's like, "Then you look great." Seats him down. It's just Nicki's mom and Nicki's dad. Nicki is not there. My first immediate observation was Nicki's dad looks like a wrestler. I don't know if you got that vibe.
Oh my God. Well, his neck was huge.
Huge, dude. Big neck, bald head, fucking crazy, like goatee hybrid. Like it's huge.
Barrel chested.
Yeah.
And he also had like that, you know how like some wrestlers, they're like tan, but they're also like kind of pink and red. They've got like a hue to them where there's just like so much blood running to their face that they just kind of look like a pinkish, tannish glow. And then he was like hairy. Yeah, he looked crazy.
Yeah, but also surprisingly
like a guy
not
from
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, like a guy from Florida.
Yeah.
So this is when we get the reveal from Nicki's mom that Nicki is not going to come. We don't know any of this information, but she's in Minneapolis with her sister, and they're snowed in.
Yeah.
And Drew obviously didn't know and is like, we could reschedule this.
Did we know she was from Minneapolis?
We didn't know. Well, is she? I don't know.
Well, her parents aren't from Cleveland either.
No.
Because as we come to figure out right here, they couldn't reschedule the dinner either because they're only in town for a few days. So I don't really know where she's from, I guess.
I got no idea. You said Florida, and I genuinely was like, oh, yeah, I guess they're from Florida. I don't know where
that's just when you see old people in sitcoms, you assume they moved to Florida.
They're from Florida?
Yeah.
That's stereotyping, man. We got...
God forbid we stereotype.
Sometimes there's old people from Tennessee.
They've never done it.
No. But I don't know where they are from, but we know her sister at least is in Minneapolis. That's the excuse we get. So Nicki snowed in and can't come. How far would it be to get from Minneapolis to Cleveland?
Cleveland? Anyway? Oh, that's probably a high. I mean, I assume she's flying.
Yeah.
So a flight, I don't know.
Quicker flight. Yeah.
That's probably like a 3-hour flight.
Right. I don't know.
That's my guess. Email us if you come up with a different answer.
If you're a pilot, first of all, stop listening to us while you're flying the plane.
You think these guys are putting on like music or
no? There's no fucking way.
I guess they don't get radio up there.
Right. Well, first of all, that's the problem.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah, but I don't think I would
putting
like
on their
it
favorite playlist.
if my pilot had like AirPods in and was just like, I'm like, we reach
listening to our podcast.
Yeah, we reach a cruising altitude, and he's like, let me put on the boys. No, that's bad. So yeah, Drew's stuck in this situation. Then we get this little production bit that I enjoyed, where we hear his heartbeat going faster and faster. Like when they're like, "Oh, Nicki's not going to be here," we hear.
Yeah.
And then, her dad goes something like, "Oh, well, don't worry, I'm going to pay for dinner." And then suddenly, like, it stops, like his heart's fine. You know what I mean? Like, it ebbs and flows depending on what they're talking about. I thought that was a fun little gag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we just got to be reminded where Drew's constant priorities are.
Yeah.
Eating and not spending any money.
That is correct. Money and food is all Drew really cares about. And also, I will say, Nicki, at least he tries really hard to present it as such.
And in this episode, all of us, it certainly doesn't. I thought we were going to lean more into that Drew self-doubt over their relationship thing and these couple of episodes. Not really the theme that we see. Like, I still think this relationship, as do probably all of you, this is doomed. Like, there's no way this is going to work.
Yeah.
But in these couple of eps, they seem like it's going to work out. Like, all systems go. Yeah. We get to see them actually working, which is something I feel like as a couple, we haven't seen that it actually working.
Right. No. Yeah. Well, we can see the support that they provide. It's huge. But Drew's trying to, he doesn't really expect it. I guess he was hoping Nicki would do a lot of the lifting in this meeting. But he her father wants to sign off on the relationship and approve
which he immediately lays out on the table.
Makes it clear.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know, what's a day in the life of Drew Carey like? And Drew's like, oh, you know, I wake up, I work, I go home and I sleep, you know, simple.
Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't really think I'd have to sell myself. And then her dad's like, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Like he really feels like a pressure to do this. So he's like, well, listen, I don't know what you think of me or what I can do, but I can tell you I make your daughter really happy. Here, look at this photo of us. And pulled out his wallet and he's got like a photo of the two of them from Christmas or something. And then this sets off a whole thing where they look at her and they're going, oh my God, our daughter's huge. She must have gained 50 pounds, this, that, the other. And they slowly piece together that it's probably Drew's fault.
Yeah,
he's
well,
like
they
enabling
said
it.
she can't be around eaters,
right.
I guess, is like some, well, that's what their diagnosis is of her as her, you know.
But then it kind of splits. Like Nicki's mom's like, oh, you can't put that on the boy. And
they keep calling him the fat boy.
And
and he's like, I don't want to. He's just like, I don't want to be called the fat boy.
I don't appreciate
Drew, this man sitting at the table with these other
adult male with his future in-laws. But and then it kind of spirals into a whole other thing. Like they stop blaming Drew for her imperfections, and then they start like yelling at each other about how their marriage is failing. We find out that Nicki's dad isn't doing enough in the sack for Nicki's mom. It turns into a whole thing, and then Drew tries to save it by being like, "Oh well, you know, sometimes it's harder to perform when you're on Prozac," and he's like, "Who told you I'm on Prozac?" And we get this whole thing that is basically like, you know, just they've been trying to save a failing marriage, it seems.
Yes.
So Nicki's mom kind of like just calls it.
Yeah, she's like, I'm done. I'm moving out.
Yeah.
You know, they don't say we're getting a divorce, but there's a strong implication.
There's a lot of tension and it boils over at this point.
And she leaves. She storms out of the restaurant. And now it's just Drew and her dad sitting.
Who, by the way,
they're still going to have dinner.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They're anticipating having a full meal. We find out, by the way, later on, I just want to establish it now. Her dad's name is Chuck.
Yes.
Chuck.
Chuck's a name of a guy with a meaty neck.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. yeah. Actually, that would be that's totally
a good neck name.
If you drew me a photo of that guy, you're like, what's that guy's name? I'd say Chuck.
Yeah.
1000%. Yes. So they're all ready to have a meal. They're going to hang out and not ruin the night. But then Chuck realizes that Mrs. Pfeiffer had the wallet. Yeah. So Drew's actually going to have to pay.
So now Drew's got to pay.
Yeah. So
reminder, that's what he cares about.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yes.
So next day we're in the office.
Yes.
Drew is on the phone with Nicki, and he's not lying to her, but he's definitely also not telling the truth about how it went.
Yeah.
He's it's a white lie. It's a fib. He's like, oh yeah, they were like fight in front of each other.
Yeah, he starts like beating around the bush about tension between them. Have you noticed anything there?
Yeah.
So
what are you gonna
do, Drew? You're gonna have to get better at
lying to your wife.
Open an honest conversation.
Oh, see, I went the different direction. I was like, you gotta be like, no, it was fantastic. You gotta really learn how to lie to your partner. Kate's there, and he tells Kate he has been tasked with finding Chuck. What is it? He wants to meet chicks this weekend.
Yeah.
So he's basically got to take Nicki's newly single father out to go meet women.
Which is crazy. I mean,
because you think Nicki's got to be at least
I haven't been a part of a marriage that's fallen apart, but it seems like a real quick turnaround.
Yeah.
But you know, I guess it's a 30-minute episode.
He's looking for a bounce back. With that goatee, with that neck.
Yeah, with that neck.
He's gonna clean up.
A guy like Chuck's gonna be out on the prowl night 2.
Confident Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's out there. He's looking for youngins.
But it's am I wrong in that it was presented as sort of like a consolation for Drew to kind of make it up to for him to sort of make things right?
That's correct.
Her
and
dad.
It's also Drew is still trying to get this man's approval.
That's what it is.
And I don't think he's really won it at this point.
No, in fact, he's ruined his marriage.
Even if it drives the wedge further in his in-laws relationship, he's going to win that approval from that man. Yeah.
So after all this, Oswald, at one point, Kate is there as established. Yes. Oswald, he comes into the scene.
He's got something to show her.
He's got something to show her. He has the ring, the big imperfect ring that he bought for her.
But not even just a ring. He's got a whole presentation ready to go.
So he
tasks Drew with being his AV guy, basically.
So Drew has a flashlight and
a tape recorder.
And a tape recorder.
Plays back a cassette of like this beautiful sounding music.
Yes. And then there's a little pillow with a little ring on top of it. Mm-hmm. And he presents it to Kate, and Drew shines the flashlight to make it sparkle. Yeah. And then it becomes apparent that it is very scripted, which... Fine. Like, I feel like it, actually we just, Belle and I just had friends of hers get engaged.
Yes. Congrats. Mazel.
And like, there's a whole, I think to some degree people want it scripted, obviously, maybe some people don't, but I think some people want like a speech.
Yeah.
Or like something thought out and planned. So understandable.
Especially a lot of this episode with Oswald is driven by there's not a lot of thoughts going on. He's easily ADD brained a little. So I think she's like looking. He wants to give an opportunity to look at me.
Yeah. So at first this seems pretty special until we realize after he presents this and she's excited, she picks up the ring. He pulls notes out of his pocket.
Yeah. He's got a step-by-step guide on
what
how
to do
this.
And he's like, okay, what's next? And he's like, oh, I love you. He reads off of the note, and then he goes and he hugs her.
Yeah.
And Kate spots it a mile away and says, that's Lewis's handwriting,
Pulls it out. And specifically, the step after I love you is make sure Kate doesn't see these notes. She knows my handwriting. And she's like even more frustrated, and it's just another step back.
Yeah.
I do want to just say also, my favorite thing is when she gets the ring, she goes, are these real diamonds? And he goes, technically, yes. So I think he ended up going with the Diamond L. I don't know when that switched. But yeah. So, but yeah, no, he's a deep shit, man. He lied to her. Yeah. And Lewis, look, I don't know. Lewis is Oswald's brain.
I didn't even catch that bit about the diamond.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at you.
Yeah.
That's why you need two people to watch the Drew Carey show.
This is Oswald's argument. This is there has to be another man involved.
Yeah, this really is it.
Yeah.
You need your boy involved at all times to kind of to tag team your way through.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tag team and an engagement, man. Yeah, that's what we're doing. No, but oh God.
And then at this point, they're back at the priest almost immediately after this.
They've realized they need a second session pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we get Oswald and Kate talking about all of this.
And same chairs, and then it cuts out, and then there's Lewis in the little
a tiny chair. His question for the priest is, why am I in the small chair? It's real funny that they've brought him into this. And then the priest is basically like point blank to Oswald, like, listen, what do you get from Lewis? Why do you appreciate him in this relationship? And he's like very genuine. He's like, oh, compassion and kindness, and we have a whole lot of laughs.
Right.
And then the priest is like, and then what do you get from Kate?
And he says the same thing.
Compassion and kindness and a whole lot of laughs. And then there's like this knowing look between, I think, the three of them that implied sex. I'm pretty sure.
But you can't tell the priest
can't say it.
Priest can't say it.
Also, is the priest really the expert on sex with that? I'm just saying. Like, does the priest know? Like, oh, yeah, this is why you go to...
Yeah.
Priest chose a different route in life. He's having a lot of laughs with Jesus Christ, I don't know. But, no. And then immediately after it clicks with Oswald, he's like, oh, yeah, great, thanks, see ya. And then they just leave.
Yeah.
They leave poor Lewis in the tiny chair with the priest.
Yeah.
And Lewis is looking to hang with the priest.
Yeah. So Lewis, I guess, just doesn't have anything to do at this point.
Yeah.
The priest is like, well, I got to go. There's a funeral.
Yeah, I got to serve a funeral.
And then Lewis is like, oh, we're going to be outside. You mind if I come with? I got a 7-iron and a bucket of balls in my trunk.
And the priest is like, yeah, sure, let's do that.
And
funny
this
gag.
is important to keep in mind.
The immediate next shot is an exterior of the Warsaw. So we've changed locations, but it's fucking snowing.
It's like the dead of winter.
There's like at least a half a foot of snow on the ground. And like, I don't know what the timeline for when they shot this was or what the bit is, but like,
I'm going to assume
that was funnier to me than the golf gag.
Yeah, I assume that they had to know what they were doing with that.
Oh, I don't know. You think? No? I think
you
they didn't
that
think
was
about
oversight.
Yeah, I think they scripted it not thinking about what time of year it was going to be canonically in the show.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Think about how hard we will just make sure that we don't put something out there with a stupid error or a flub. Well, I mean, granted, we do put some of it out, but you know what I mean.
I would say we're 70%.
And now you're putting
flub.
a show on ABC, and you're just like,
well, I don't know if you've seen. I lurk the Drew Carey Show subreddit.
Yeah,
people catch later on in this show. People stop caring altogether. There are boom mic guys in the background that you can see. There's some fun little errors. So I guess
you are turning around a show a week, right?
Yeah, probably you get a couple weeks. But yeah, you're writing and producing.
Well, you're writing, but then you shoot a show in a week.
There's also, I just want to say, nothing in this episode or even the next episode that would imply winter.
Yeah,
there's no reason it has to be winter other than I guess we're in winter if you follow.
Well, it's the clothes.
Yeah,
I guess if people are wearing jackets, it's ultimately all that determines it.
Right. Anyway, we're at the Warsaw. It's fucking snowing outside.
Yeah,
and this is the night that Drew and Chuck are gonna meet chicks.
Yes.
We get Lewis first at the bar with them.
Also, wait, just Chuck going out with the man his daughter wants to marry for him to show him how to pick up chicks.
Show me some of these broads you're gonna hit on.
Yeah.
So he's there with Lewis, who we find out is going to an orgy.
Yeah.
And Lewis is Chuck's oh, you're going to an orgy?
He seems really excited about it. And I'm oh, damn, Chuck wants to go from marriage to orgy.
Chuck is eyes wide shut. He's ready to go.
You're going to jump feet first.
Yeah.
Into the orgy life.
He's just looking for some strange, man.
Yeah, he's going to need some lotions and a robe. My man doesn't realize how much he's going to have to invest.
He's got the look for it.
To get off the Prozac. If it ain't gonna work, dude, you're not of much use in that orgy.
Orgy performance review. The Prozac was not good. I give you a 3 out of 10. But no, so we find out it's a virtual orgy, which is that just a chat room then? I don't know what it really I
don't really know either.
It was very primitive technology in the 90s.
What's that website that all the guys are on? Just
beating their chat roulette or whatever. They're just beating their meat.
That's a virtual orgy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Lewis was saying he was at the bar to look at women and then imagine their faces for the virtual orgy. So he was just making eye contact with women, going up and down.
Yeah.
Really dark shit when you zoom out and you think about it. That's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
But
just hey, you're cute, and then he just stares at her,
drinking her face in.
Yeah.
But so then we get Chuck and Drew moving to a table, and we get Kate, who I should have realized what this was going to be.
Yeah, I didn't really know what that.
I thought it was very bizarre, but anyway, so Kate and Chuck are introduced. And Drew is kind of oh yeah, this is Kate, she's nice, whatever. And then Chuck's oh, well, what are you up to? Clearly flirting.
Yeah.
And Kate, I thought it was going to be a wedding thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm engaged. The other plot line of this whole fucking thing.
Right.
But then she's well, no, unfortunately, if you want to dance, we have to agree to terms and consent and this and that. And she pulls out a physical contract for him to sign, agreeing to no touching unless directed to her things. And
so it's this whole plot they're in cahoots to show him single life sucks.
Drew's trying to get out of this, and he's trying to make Chuck think that it's impossible to meet women anymore.
Yeah. It's impossible to date women. You need
you need consent
for.
They need to agree with you on what you're doing. Ugh,
Chuck, you wouldn't believe it, man. Nice try, Drew.
Yeah,
have him sign some contracts.
Yeah. Drew just wanted a signature.
Probably how it should be for some guys out there.
1,000% for Lewis and the fucking
for Lewis. Lewis should 100% have to sign paperwork every time he goes to a bar and interacts with a woman. Yeah,
absolutely. So then Chuck's okay, I'm not falling for this. I know this isn't how it is. And Drew's okay, fine. You want to see what it's like to be single?
Yeah.
We'll show you what it's like to be single. And then we get a montage of just Chuck and Drew and the gang all hanging out and just kind of like, it's like literally like just what Drew and them would do. Like there's like, they're hanging out watching TV. They're playing like game. What was the one game where they're pulling boogers out?
Oh,
I've never seen that before.
God, I feel like I have seen that before.
Yeah.
I think it's food or something. Maybe it's Play-Doh, though.
God,
I don't really know
like
what
edible.
it is.
It's like a giant nose.
Yeah, it's a guy with a big nose, and you're pulling some goo out of his nose. And then if you pull it long enough, I think you go around the table and everyone pulls.
Yeah.
And then at some point, somebody pulls and his brains pop out of his head.
So Chuck pulled it, and I guess he pulled it too far, and then the confetti exploded out of his head.
Yeah.
And then it ends with them, I guess, just watching TV, drinking beers.
They're watching cartoons with no words.
Yeah,
it's
just sound effects going.
Yeah,
and they're talking about the quality of the animated film that they've just watched.
Yeah,
and Chuck's like, "All right, you know what? I'm good."
And then he puts his wedding ring back on.
Yeah, he's like, "If this was single life, I'm going back to the missus. I don't want this. I didn't know how good I had it. I think he puts it.
It's literally what he says,
and it's just Drew's everyday life. That's why I like that he's just like, actually, fuck you.
Not only Drew's, it's Kate, it's Lewis, it's all
group.
of their. It's what they do.
It's the whole group, yeah. So he starts to exit. He takes his hat and he leaves, and then they get to finally like just hang out and do what they've wanted. They say they want to fuck with Drew's dog in the back and make him howl at the moon.
Yeah.
And that implies they all get up on the little bench area that Drew has by his kitchen table, and they pull down their pants.
They just moon Drew's dog. They moon
the dog, who starts going crazy.
Yeah.
Then in through that back door walks Chuck. And I guess he saw all of their asses. And he's just like, I forgot my hat. That's a weird way. Most people just wave to say goodbye. But that is how we end this with Mr. Pfeiffer learning being single ain't all cracked up. No.
Yeah, he should go back to his wife.
Yes.
Or else he's going to be watching cartoons and playing the nose goo game.
Oh, there was another scene though. They hide a French fry or something in the popcorn.
Oh yeah, they're a really long French fry.
I thought it was more of the goo from that game.
Same.
Yeah.
But then they
explained later the French fry.
It was a giant French fry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I was reaching into popcorn and I pulled out a French fry, I'd be stoked.
Yeah, he did not seem
Are you kidding me?
That
would be that's like an upgrade by all accounts.
Absolutely. How did it get in there?
Yeah,
I would be fascinated. Yeah. No. So that's this ep.
Yeah, that's this ep. The credit scene. They're just we got to talk about the credit scene. Talk about some more like uncomfortable 90s shit.
Oh yes.
I can't even like keep blaming it on 90s. It's just clearly dated humor
this is just
should
also,
not be on TV.
This is the character of Wick. So Mr. Wick is in the office again with Drew and Kate. And he's like, hey, congratulations again on your impending nuptials.
Right.
I love the British they really give him meaty words to use.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and as we remember, he had a whole crush on Kate.
Yes.
It was like this weird prank thing that wasn't a prank. He actually felt feelings for her,
and just to let bygones be bygones and be like, look, I'm over it. I got you an engagement gift.
Yeah. So she gets the bag. Oh, you shouldn't have. Pulls it out, and it's an alarm clock.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's for your honeymoon. Put it on your side of the bed, of course. Put it
specifically your side of the bed. Immediately something's
weird.
Up. Something's
Drew
weird.
Gets it, and he's like, "Oh, is that a camera?" And he goes, "No, or is that like a lens on the front?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "No. It's solar powered. Make sure you leave all of the lights on when you use it." And Kate's like, "This is a camera, and you're trying to film me on my honeymoon." And it was at this point you pointed out.
Yeah, I was like, I can't believe that there should be more lawsuits against Wick.
There's a whole active arc of this show that has not been resolved where Mr. Wick's being sued for sexual harassment.
And now he just gave his
and he's like, and you know what, actually, I'm gonna
subordinate.
Yeah, I'm gonna spy on my employees while they have sex on their honeymoon.
Yeah. A subordinate that he had an active crush on.
Yeah.
And it was very public.
He asks her, he's like, oh, once she like finds out and she's like, I don't want the gift. He's like, well, were you upset or were you titillated?
It's crazy.
Titillated.
He's just like,
He's doing a lot. He's doing too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? While we're at the middle here, do we also want to talk about? You sent me the TikTok of Diedrich Bader and Craig Ferguson talking.
Oh yeah,
and we got an email about it as well.
That's fat. Oh, this is a great time to bring it up since we're talking about
right in the middle we're talking about Nigel Wick. Yeah,
Nigel Wick.
So there's like I feel like there's more press going on around Drew Carey right now.
Yeah, it seems like people are talking about it a little more. Look, the episodes are coming out. I'm not sure what it is.
The YouTube launch, I think the DVD thing. I saw like Bruce Helford, who's the co-creator with Drew of this whole thing.
Yeah,
wrote a whole thing about how they were trying really hard to get this back on, and it was a labor of love between like him and Drew and Deborah Oppenheimer, who was the co-exec or something. And how it's cool they were able to get it on. And also to his point, he was like, "Oh yeah, we did a lot of stuff. Like they had the first episode that was simulcasted on the internet." I didn't know what.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
So he was saying, we did a lot before a lot of other people.
Did they say what season that was?
I don't know. I'm gonna guess a later one.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be a later one. But I guess this ran into the 2000s. So yeah.
But anyway, to that point, Diedrich, you sent me a TikTok. Went on Craig Ferguson's podcast. I can't.
I didn't even know he had a podcast.
Oh yeah, it's recommended by Apple in our podcasts.
Really?
If you go on Apple Music, it's like or Apple Podcasts. One of the things is I can't remember the name of it, but Craig Ferguson's podcast is there.
Huh? I
think because we've used his name.
Yeah, we've used his Wayne in some of our.
Yeah. But he had Diedrich Bader on, and the thing you sent me was about Diedrich Bader explaining how he wasn't even trying to get the Drew Carey show, really?
Well, I mean, I found it just fascinating, like because obviously he's been here since the first season.
Yeah.
So just rewinding all the way back to when Drew Carey was just like a
germ of
nobody.
An idea.
He was just a stand-up.
Yeah.
That got a pilot offer because he was likable and he had some good jokes.
We gave every stand-up comedian a sitcom in the 90s.
Yeah, that's all it took.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he didn't even want to be on a show. He was using his audition for the Drew Carey show purely as leverage. I think it was to get on another show that he was on another show at a time. He was on Michelle Cho's show or something.
Or no, Margaret Cho. Margaret Cho's sitcom. Yeah. And he was like, this is doomed. Like, I think he wanted a different project because it didn't seem like anybody was really believing in it.
Yeah.
So he wanted to get on one sitcom that was being produced by Sony.
Right.
And Sony lowballed him. And he was like, I know I'm being lowballed. So his agent was like, you should do an audition for another sitcom.
Yes.
But then my understanding is he auditioned for that sitcom and it was a completely separate project.
Yeah.
And then they were like, actually, you should audition for a third sitcom. And that was the Drew Carey show.
Right.
So this motherfucker in one season did 3 different auditions to be like which I guess that's just how it is. Like when you're,
and the Drew Carey show
season.
Was the one he did not want.
Yeah.
He was the least to him.
I think because of the Margaret Cho thing, like, every stand-up gets one.
Margaret Cho.
He was like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. He's not an actor.
How is this one going to work?
Right.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being the one that he got, and they paid him well, I guess. And he was there for all 9 seasons.
But he described like getting the offer for the Drew Carey show and then like going back to his agent and like yelling at him.
Yeah.
Like, being actually upset about even having to audition for it. Be on this show now.
Right.
So, yeah. And then what do you know? He becomes one of the biggest characters in this 9-season sitcom.
Yeah. I do also want to say our good friend Elias emailed us about the Diedrich Bader, Craig Ferguson podcast.
Oh, yeah?
Hello, Elias. Thank you for continuing to email. I'm sorry we haven't mentioned you in a minute. But he also sent a link, and I haven't watched this one yet, Wayne Brady with Jonathan Mangum on the podcast What If? And it looks like Drew is also there. Oh, yeah, no. Jonathan Mangum and Wayne Brady are co-hosts, and they had Drew Carey on as a guest. Yeah, so that might be fun. They talk about Drew with Fish and a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, we can recap a little bit of that.
Yeah, I'd like to see.
Not right now.
Yeah, well, at some point.
We got business,
I'll watch
fellas.
it. We'll get it done the next step. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But that's all for auxiliary podcasts starring or featuring the Drew Carey Show cast.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to this segment of the podcast. We're now going to get to season 3, episode 19, 2 weddings and a funeral for a refrigerator.
Now that we revisit the title here, I'm trying to do the math. What do they mean by the weddings?
Okay, so it's a play on. Do you know I don't know if it's a movie or.
I don't.
4 Weddings and a Funeral is
Didn't know.
Is like I believe it's a play or a movie or something. Now I kind of want to Google it, but anyway, so they're playing on that, and the 2 weddings are Drew, Nicki,
I got it.
It's really about the fridge. It's really they
right.
were working some shit in.
Yes.
So 2 weddings and a funeral for a refrigerator. I like that they just started with dead fridge. That's where we start. Drew is coming in to look at his fridge, and he realizes everything's warm. Everything in the fridge is warm. The meat, the drinks, freezer, same thing.
The worst feeling in the world.
We had it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Mostly, it wasn't because the fridge died. It was mostly because I left the fridge open. Happened a lot. Look, I will say this in defense of myself. Old New York fridges, or old fridges in general, but I've only experienced them in New York. The fucking magnets don't close, or you slam it and then it reopens because of the force.
Yes. Well, it just doesn't. Yeah, they don't have the same gumption.
Yeah,
the suction isn't there.
Gumption.
Yeah. So it's just gonna crack open a little bit, and if it's just a crack, you're fucked.
Yeah, that's why when I go shopping for a fridge, I ask the salesman, "How's the gumption?
Yeah,
how's the gumption on this fridge?" Yeah. But so Drew realizes he didn't have a closed door issue. He realizes it's the fridge is dead. So he calls in Nicki and he's freaking out. And we learn that the fridge has a name. Have we known this before? He calls it Bessie. I don't know if I've ever heard him call the fridge Bessie.
I don't think I've heard Bessie before.
Yeah. But it feels like something he would have said on the show.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's so upset about Bessie being gone, and Nicki's like, "Oh, it's okay, hold on."
Well, he's he goes through a whole so he's opening. He feels he opens the freezer, and then all the popsicle
in a very funny scene,
and the popsicles melted.
Pours out like blood.
Yeah, it pours out. It's
of
all
the
red.
mouth of the freezer.
And he's like, "Hold on, sometimes the fan sticks," and he yells clear, and then he runs to the side and he punches it.
Kind of like a defibrillator trying to keep this fridge alive. It really feels like it's a human being that's just lost its life.
It's really, he plays this well.
Yeah. So he's heartbroken, and then enter the rest of the gang, and Drew is like, "I don't know how to tell you guys, but Bessie is dead." And Lewis almost loses his shit. He almost falls down. He has to grab himself on the thing. And they're all clearly heartbroken about it. And Nicki's like, "Guys, it's just a fridge. I'm the new guy here, but it's fridge."
Yeah.
And then Oswald explains it's more than a fridge. It's like a town square. It's where we gather. And he's like, "Are we even going to be friends without a fridge?"
It gave him his first beer.
Yeah,
is what it said.
Oh shit! I guess that actually is true though, because they've been around. Wow, this is Drew's parents' fridge. Yeah, they've been around long enough that it's just it was really a staple of the house.
That's kind of how it felt when we just moved my parents' house. I moved my parents out of their house a couple months ago in May, and it was a house that I grew up in, and then I got a couple of brothers from multiple generations. My oldest being 55, the next one being 39, and me being
you're the baby
29 in a month or so here.
Yeah.
So anyway, with 3 different generations all grew up in this house, and there was always a fridge in the garage filled with Miller High Life.
Hell yes.
And so we all had to sit there and, once we got everything moved out, crack open a Miller High Life in the garage and took this big fun. It was a good moment. It felt like between us
for old time's sake.
We were all like, "Yeah, I remember stealing beers out of Miller High Lifes out of this fridge in high school," and I was like, "Yes, same. Yes,
it's
same."
a generational
all 3
thing.
of us did the same thing. Yeah.
They say there's nothing that can unite us in divided times, but I think it's boys stealing beers
out
from
of
the
their
fridge
dad's
outside.
garage fridge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So they're all heartbroken about this, and Drew decides to give a toast to the fridge, and he's like, "All right, let's get out of here." And then that's kind of the opening scene here.
Yeah.
So it sets off the momentum of we need a new fridge. We need to fix this situation. We come back after the titles, and Wick is talking to Johnson one of the employees at Winfred
Yeah,
Louder.
just like there's always generic, like handsome employee that he works with.
Just male that he is talking to.
Just ready to get fired.
Well, I thought this was going to be, the way that they were setting this up, I thought it was going to be like a B plot, but no, he literally is like, he comes to Drew and he's like, oh, we're not getting
no, I knew immediately.
Yeah? Wow, it's a long walk for this though, I gotta say.
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to do the Mr. Wick firing people bit, the walks are going to get longer and longer. If you're going to get like more creative,
have to.
It's probably going to get a little more drawn out.
He asks Drew for help on like them communicating better instead of going to HR. And Drew's like, well, I know one thing that works is like if you role play sort of as the other person, you know, like if you imagine yourself in Johnson's shoes and Johnson imagines himself as Wick. So then they do this situation, and as soon as Johnson as Wick sort of gives pushback, Wick as Johnson quits. So then Johnson just has to leave because Wick has fired himself. It's such a fucking dumb compliment. When I realized what I was like, oh shit, they really just made me sit through like 90 seconds of that.
Yeah, and that was it. That was the end. He just fired a guy.
Yeah. And then we get to the real meat of it, which is Winfred Louder employee games. Did you had like field day growing up, right?
Yes.
Like as a kid?
Yes, we did.
I did too.
It would be like, it was mostly like real like sport stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like we do like kickball, I remember was one of the games.
We did kickball. We did a lot of like the stuff, like there was like some hockey, some layup contests and things.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Ended with tug of war. It was a big 8th grade tug of war.
Tug of war was, I loved tug of war.
Because
I was like,
You're going to be shocked to find out.
I was one of the chunky boys when I was a kid. So
they put you on the end as an anchor?
I would be on the end as the anchor.
Yeah. I tried to do that, but I wasn't as big as some of the other like actual athletes that I went to school with. Yeah. I really just didn't like the fucking rope burn, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't got tough hands. I got soft little angel hands.
I remember doing it when we went to college too.
When did this happen?
I remember it might have been for the living learning communities at Temple.
Oh, your freshman year.
But my freshman year, I remember it was part of like some intro program, and like our whole floor went and did
Tug of war,
and it was like Hardwick, and I remember we gave it our all. I think we made it a few rounds, but then there was one like team that had like all athletes, and we were just screwed.
Nothing you can do.
Yeah.
I'm surprised to learn the media school living learning community wasn't able to beat the athletes.
We held our own for a while.
Yeah.
But no, we could not keep up.
It's how it is. Well, anyway, I guess, you know how you do that in middle school? I guess these grown-ass adults are going to participate in
work in a department store.
Department store field
I hope
day.
they have good fucking insurance. I think about like how my back is shot now, or like how I was just talking to one of our mutual friends who he's a photographer.
Oh, yes.
And when he bends over, he like his knees creak and crack and they hurt. And I was like, yeah, man, that's just it. So now I'm thinking we're in our late 20s.
Yeah.
Drew and fam
Drew's
not in
at least got like 7 years on us, probably. Yeah. I don't know.
And they're doing these fucking games.
Yeah. No, it's well, we do see them have to fill out the paperwork later in the episode. They sign away basically everything to make sure that this is okay. But so they do it. We get the vibe from Drew that he's not really a returning champion of the employee games.
Surprise.
Yeah, he's not really going. But Wick is, he wants to have it. It's coming up, and he's like, and I'm trying to figure out what this year's grand prize should be. Yeah. Can you help me figure this out?
And he has like a booklet. Yeah. I guess it's just like just a
department store catalog.
Department store catalog. And one of the first thing Drew opens the catalog to, one of the first pages, is a brand new refrigerator, the Aurora 6000.
Yeah, it's a big, beautiful fridge. It's got
double doors,
an ice maker. Did I read that right?
Yes.
Yeah, or hear that right?
Stainless steel.
God, I didn't even catch that detail.
It's beautiful.
That's a fucking machine, man. Yes. God. Yeah. So Drew's immediately like, oh, we should do this. And Wick makes a remark about, oh, well, you picked that and not like the elliptical or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But Drew wants his fridge. So
he needs it, but I was quickly surprised how much everyone wanted it then.
Well, I think.
But then again, I'm like, a brand new fridge, that's pretty awesome.
Does everybody want it or does everybody.
Mimi wants it,
well, but does she just want to fuck with Drew? I think she just rather would beat Drew.
Hard to tell. She seemed pretty
into it,
into the fridge itself.
That's fair. She finds out about the fridge because while Drew is doing this with Wick, he asks if he can cut out the fridge from the catalog.
Yeah,
and he like tapes it to his computer monitor as like a reminder of like the Simpsons do it for her. Like that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
He's doing this to remind himself. So then Mimi comes in. Mimi has a complaint that she wants to file with Drew. Between that and like Wick with Johnson, I don't know why everybody's coming to Drew with HR complaints.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
But Mimi has an issue. She went into the women's room and she saw Larry.
Mimi of all people going to Drew with a problem.
She saw Larry in the women's room on like their fainting couch sort of situation.
Yeah.
And she thought he was spying on her, trying to catch a glimpse of her in the stall or something.
But he just had migraines.
He just had migraines. You familiar with the concept of like a fainting couch?
Yes. Yeah. And I was going to ask you if you've ever like walked into a women's room and seen one. It's actually amazing.
When I was a child, my mom would be like, go into the women's room with me. And like, I would sit on those couches while I was waiting. Yeah.
So I remember when my grandma was working at the Moose, that was the only time that I had, it was my
they
first
had one at the lodge.
They had one at the lodge. And, I just like got a peek into the women's room. Obviously, there were no ladies in there.
Yeah,
there were not a lot of ladies in the lodge. Period.
Yeah,
but I walked in.
It does seem
there,
like more of a men's social club.
I had to be like 8. Yeah. So it was purely just this innocent boy curiosity. I walked in. I saw these. They had the mirrors with like the makeup mirrors where lights. You have them lined with the lights. And then they had this big couch and then like a table with a bunch of magazines and a nice plant and everything. I was like, nothing like the rest of the lodge.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck world did I just step into?
You thought there were no women at the lodge. They're all just in the bathroom. They're just hanging out in there, getting away from the men.
So those couches are, it's just, I was always, from that point on, I was like, wow, they have furniture.
Because I also hear, and I get it, like that women's bathrooms are grosser than men's sometimes. Yeah. Because of everything that happens in there. And I get it. But that being said, whenever I went into like those, shout out in the Neshaminy Mall, when I went into the Neshaminy Mall dressing or women's room, it was fucking gorgeous with that couch and the table. Yeah, there was a bunch of shit there. It was real nice. Yeah.
Just a little secret. They don't tell anyone about those.
No, they don't.
But then it brings up a great Drew joke in this scene.
Larry goes, why don't we have a couch in the men's bathroom? Which, to be fair, I've asked that question, but I have also reached the conclusion Drew has, which he's like, if there was a couch in the men's room, would you want to sit on it? No. Good point.
It gives me the energy of the couches we had in my college apartment.
Yes, the one with ants in it. Yes, that is exactly the vibe.
The ant couch.
Yeah. God. So Larry though is there and Mimi spies the clipping that Drew was saved to this fridge and Drew explains, well, no, that's going to be the grand prize for the upcoming employee games. And Mimi's like, I thought I was going to retire undefeated from this, which I think, I'm not surprised she gets competitive with the employee games.
Yeah.
Also, we saw Mimi on her first day. Like how many times has she won this? You couldn't have been more than twice.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, 2 times is enough times though that you could go. That
you could gloat.
Yeah.
100%.
So it sounds like she was out, but now that she can get this fridge, she's back in. And I think she's doing it more to spite Drew than to actually get the fridge.
Yeah.
And you need
disagree there.
You need like a partner for the games.
Yes.
So Larry agrees.
And I guess they don't have to work for the company.
Well, no, we find out later. No, apparently not at all. Apparently you can have a team of 2 people that don't even work on the thing.
But quickly, Larry and Mimi just let bygones be bygones. They're like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll be.
Well,
teammates.
Larry sells himself. He sells himself very well. He's like, listen, I'll do anything to get ahead. I'm sleeping with my 80-year-old boss.
Yeah,
I run a craps game out of my mom's retirement home.
But like, why does Larry want to work with Mimi? I don't get it. What's his move?
I don't know.
I guess she's a returning champ.
Yeah, she's a returning champ, and he's a little sleazeball, so he'll do whatever he can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's into it, and then they agree right there and then they're going to take on Drew. Drew seems kind of unfazed. He's like, "Listen, I hear you, but
he's pretty confident right now.
Oddly confident for Drew Carey.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not the Drew that I would have expected, but
I guess I don't know. Mimi isn't like the most intimidating competitor,
right?
You'd ever. I know she's a returning champ, but like, it doesn't seem like she's a juggernaut. She doesn't give me that.
She doesn't seem like a lock.
No,
I think she could hold her own in a tug of war. I would have been scared.
I didn't know at this point what the games were.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it would be a feat of strength like that. And she could hold her own.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like the leaf blower hockey. She can't be good on roller skates.
That's true. We don't see. Oh no, we do see her. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Oh shit. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, we're getting ahead. We're getting ahead a little bit. We've staked now. It's going to be Drew versus Mimi Larry. We go back to Drew's house in the next scene, and the gang comes through with a little surprise.
Yeah, surprise, Drew.
We're trying to cheer him up.
Oh, well, first, when you walk in, I love that they put a memorial where Bessie was. They had like a wreath.
There's a flower wreath.
A flowery wreath, and then candles and a photograph just sitting where Drew's fridge used to be. Mm-hmm. And then,
all it's missing is like some sad Sarah McLachlan music.
And then they're like, all right, Drew, we got you a gift. And then they bring in a brand new refrigerator. Well, a refrigerator.
Brand new
for
refrigerator.
The space.
Drew calls it Frankenfridge. We learn it kind of looks gaudy too. It's got like this like weird green shade to it.
Well, it's like 4 different fridges.
Yeah.
The freezer door is brown. The green is the front door. And then the rest of it is like a white, like beige.
Like an off-white. We learn it's like a bunch of fridges put together. They found this in like a junkyard, basically.
Yeah, it's a scrapyard.
Yeah, scrapyard. And they lined it all with a bunch of baking soda to keep Drew from smelling the smell that was in there.
Yeah.
And just based on all of their expressions, it is not working.
No, they
not
said
at
it,
all.
See, their conclusion was it smelled like ham and feet.
Yeah.
But
Drew's
later
like,
they
I've smelled both of those things.
And that's not ham and feet.
Ham and feet.
Later, Drew's conclusion is it smells like wet cat and cheese. And then the gang is like, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so.
Anyway, if you can smell any of those 4 things, you can imagine how bad this fucking rates. And they brought it into his house. They really do just want to try to cheer him up. So, but yeah, this is not it. Drew's pissed about the whole thing. And they agree then and there they're going to help Drew win this fridge. They're all going to break off into their own teams, and they're going to help Drew compete. Drew really gets like kind of emotional about like, I want a nice fridge. Why can't I have something? I'm not going to have a Rolex. I'm not going to have a sports car.
Yeah.
This is the one thing that I could actually use.
He's totally right.
Yeah.
I'm also like,
that's his Rolex.
Come on, Drew. Yeah. Like I don't know what Drew's financial situation is. I know he doesn't make that much money, but I'm like, there comes a point in all our lives as adult, we need to have emergency new fridge money.
Yeah.
There just needs to be. You can't.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do?
What are you
You're
gonna
not going to take out a loan to get a fridge?
What are you going to do? Use a bunch of coolers?
Right.
Use a series of coolers?
And there comes a point in your life where you need to have emergency, my fridge is broken money.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little disappointed in Drew this late into his 30s.
He just had to get this engagement ring, dude. Don't you understand?
True.
He's got a lot of expenses going on. He's got a dog we don't even see anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money.
He did get his dog a surgery to have legs again, though.
Yeah, he had to fix his broken legs.
Yeah.
So his money is being used all over the place. But I agree with you. He should have had some emergency spending money for this. But look, if I worked at a department store, also, as we just said in the last step, we know that they get a good employee discount.
Yeah. Tell me you can't get 25% off a fridge.
Buy the fridge.
You can't just buy a fridge.
I guess then we would have no plot.
Yeah.
Damn it. So
worst episode of the Drew Carey show.
Drew buys a fridge.
Buys credits. So now cut to the games.
No. because we're forgetting one important scene.
No, the most important
My favorite part of this. Drew and Nicki, the gang leaves. Drew and Nicki go into the living room, and Nicki is trying to amp him up sort of for this contest. And she's like, come on, just visualize the fridge, like, and Drew's like, I don't know. And she's like, no, you can do it. Just, just if you that's how you succeed. Like so Drew starts to then visualize the fridge that he would win, this stainless steel 2-door beauty. Yeah. And he's like, I can see it. And like, we get a shot in the fridge. And we get Drew and Nicki in like very nice formal wear, tap dancing around food.
Yeah.
Set to this song that I don't even really know what the song was, but it's like about food and the fridge. And
I have no idea what the song. I was more fixated on like their outfits and then like the choreography,
the giant props.
Yeah, the giant like they were at the end. Nicki sits on like a cottage cheese tin and
Drew
she
shakes around a soda.
Around. Yeah.
So I thought about this while it was happening. I was like, it must have been an actual practical set. Yes. That they built like they
got a bunch of big cardboard looking props.
Made a whole thing huge. And and then it was just like generic like butter, soda, eggs, like they had all this shit. And they're just dancing. I loved it. I was like, what a weird little fucking thing that they just put in the middle of this episode. It's beautiful. So that's Drew's visualizing his success.
Yeah.
Is I'm in the thing that I want.
I'm in a giant
with my love.
With his love.
And we're dancing.
Again, his love.
Yeah.
At no point is there an indication that Drew regrets marrying or getting engaged to Nicki.
I do have to say, because we said it earlier about like we see a lot of Drew and Nicki support. I think we mostly see Nicki supporting Drew.
Yeah.
Like, if I was in my mid-30s and I was that upset about a refrigerator dying, I would hope my partner would be like, you gotta fucking man up a little here. But Nicki is nothing but understanding.
Nicki does even offer to buy him the fridge.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, also awesome.
Yeah. Like supportive girlfriend.
She has emergency fridge money.
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
she's responsible.
Then we go to the games. The games begin. We see Drew and Nicki signing up, and I guess there's some guy here who like runs throughout. He's like the game master, if you will, but I think he's just some like warehouse guy.
Yeah.
He's having.
He's wearing like a Winfred Lauder polo, so clearly he works for the company.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say he's like a warehouse guy, but like he's not like the dude lifting the shit.
No,
he looks like he's just the manager or something. But he's like a cool dude, and he's having Drew and Nicki sign away basically their lives. He's like,
we'll take no responsibility.
Can we get an emergency contact in case you break something? And Drew's like, hey, wait. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Signs his name down. And then we get Larry and Mimi coming in, the heels of this here fight.
Yeah.
And they're ready to go. Mimi was saying she was just at the hospital looking at the guy that she beat last year, and he blinked hello. Like, fucked him up.
Yeah.
I love, this was my favorite line from Larry. He says he was popping steroids like Pez.
Yeah.
He's got like the weightlifter sort of
he's got a weightlifter's belt on, and he's wearing like a rec basketball tank.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, he was.
Oh wait, there's more to his line.
There's more to this line that's incredible.
As you're wont to do when you take steroids, he's dealing with a lot of stuff, kidneys going out of whack, shrunken testicles.
Yes,
but then as he says, small potatoes makes the meat look bigger.
Makes the steak
steak look bigger. God damn it.
Good
they
one.
really, I fucking love the character of Larry.
Larry's so awesome.
Much. Shout out, I had his name up. Hold on, let me pull up the IMDb thing. Shout out Ian Gomez. I don't know what he's doing
Has Ian
now.
Gomez done much else?
I'm loading his IMDb now. He is known for Drew Carey Show and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 1 and 2.
Yo, wait, I do remember. Okay,
from My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Because I just watched that like a few months ago. I remember.
What were you doing watching My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
I don't know. Belle and I were bored, and we were just like, you want to just watch... we were scrolling through, and she actually was like, you know what movie I think you'd like?
Was she right?
Yeah, it was. I actually did enjoy it.
Yeah. He plays Mike.
I don't remember the characters.
It does seem like that kind of movie
Greek to me.
It seems like sometimes I will confuse My Big Fat Greek Wedding with Mamma Mia, and that's on me.
Yeah.
That's on me for confusing them because they're very different.
No, they don't. There's no ABBA in
zero ABBA. I'm
yeah.
looking at anything else. He was on. He does a lot of sitcoms, like the Goldberg. He was in that movie Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, which I haven't seen, but I'm told it's very good. It's Kristen Wiig.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, okay. No, I know what you're talking about.
Bunch of sitcoms. He was in Living Biblically, which I don't even know what that is. Oh, I don't know. Oh, it's a sitcom based on a guy who tries to live in accordance with the Bible's teachings. Whatever.
That sounds like Larry.
Yes, it does. Oh, Jesus. We also get here very crucially, Pinky is back. So we get
the whole
we get Lewis's weird girlfriend.
But like as Mimi brings up, I'm like, how the fuck can Lewis just team up with Pinky and play in the employee games?
They're not at all employees. But I guess, as he argues, he played an elf, I guess, in the winter.
He's an elf at Christmas time.
Yeah.
So he's allowed to play.
He's technically an employee.
Pinky, though.
Pinky is on an experimental drug from Drug Co. that makes you hyper competitive.
Yeah.
And you see it immediately because she basically like gets in Drew's face and is like, starts growling and is like, I'm gonna fuck you up and like all this shit. And Drew's like, whoa, okay. I don't know if that's good. That's what we call foreshadowing with this. So then the game's essentially one more crucial bit. Mr. Wick. Mr. Wick's competing, which I'm going to say is bullshit. If he's picking the prize.
If he's allowed to pick the prize, it's bullshit that he can play. 100%.
But he brings with him like a fitness model. It's a very attractive woman who's also muscular.
Yeah.
And he's, kind of like playing it off coyly. And she explains
like
to Drew.
they apparently work out at the same gym.
Together, yes.
Not together, but the goal is... So as it comes, what it becomes is the woman's like, he said that I can keep the fridge. Yeah. If we win this, and that's why I'm doing it.
And I'm being paid $300.
And I'm being paid $300.
So even if she doesn't win.
And then Drew's like, what do you get out of it? Looking at Mr. Wick, and Mr. Wick's like, well, we get to work out together.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, it's not together. It's not together.
Yeah.
We need to be clear. So Wick's got a muscle mommy. Which I think we've known for a while.
Yeah, that's his type.
He's got a very specific thing going on. The games begin. We start with, as you were saying, no, not vacuum cleaner. What is it?
Leaf blower hockey.
Yes. So it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. You're trying to get a puck or a ball.
They're on like rollerblades, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a ball in the middle, and they both have leaf blowers, and they're trying to blow it in the other net.
Yeah. And we start with Drew, Nicki, Wick, and Fitness Lady. And Wick is the goalie, which I guess makes more sense in terms of strategy, but man, he's a fucking shit goalie.
Well, they all start calling. He's a bad... they played it up cartoonishly how afraid of violence he is.
Yeah.
In this, what was a very non-violent game.
Right.
It was basically no contact.
Absolutely.
And then Drew charges the goal, blowing the ball. And he gets out of the goal, out of the way, and like the whole audience is chanting "wussy."
Yes, I thought they were saying "pussy," and I was like, "That's crazy for an ABC family sitcom."
Yeah,
but no, they're calling him a wussy, and they all start like viciously chanting him, and then like the fitness lady's like, "Come on, there's nothing. You're doing great. Don't worry about it." And like just the wussy chants. Drew gets another one on him, and that's the end of it. I think.
Yeah, that was it.
Wick can't take the heat.
Quick out.
Get out the kitchen, homie.
Yeah.
Then we go to vacuum cleaner, like sled racing or something.
Yeah, so they got like 8 vacuum cleaners attached to 2 trash cans on wheels.
And you have to basically like get your vacuums to go fast enough.
Than the other ones.
Yeah. So
and it's Lewis and it's Oswald and Kate and one Chariot.
Yes, and then
it's
other,
Mimi and Larry.
My favorites, god damn it. And they're so like ready to go here. They're taunting.
Yeah.
For a while, Oswald and Kate were in the lead.
Yeah, their vacuums were faster.
Yeah, but then they get stuck with pennies.
Yeah, well, Mimi says, "Look over there, it's a rainbow."
I missed her.
Mimi goes, "Look, it's a rainbow," and the fucking Oswald and Kate turn around and she throws pennies in front of their vacuum.
And that slows them down.
Yeah.
Damn.
And
I missed "Look, it's a rainbow." That's really funny. God damn it. They gave her some good lines all the time. Yeah. Man.
Or maybe she's like the best character.
Yeah, I think
she
that's
is
right.
the Kramer like level to like. I know like people like Drew's great, right? And if I'm to make the Seinfeld comparisons, like George, a lot of people say is the best character. You could say George and Drew on the same playing field.
Sure, I think that's right.
Mimi and Kramer though, like Kramer won Emmys for Seinfeld. So Kramer's the man. He's iconic.
Yeah.
Post career, we don't talk about
I don't know
that.
what you're talking about.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mimi's like that to this show. She adds all the flavor, you know.
She is so good that there are lines that she said that I'm still thinking about that we haven't even brought up. Like when the wedding stuff, she has a signature. She's got enough signatures on a petition to make sure Drew doesn't breed that she feels the need to bring it up when he gets engaged. Like that's funny shit. She talks about spending the weekend with 3 men who are she's gonna bathe in their sweat. Yeah, that fucking rules, dude.
But Drew has a great line after that. He's like, "Yeah, you need 2 to hold the other guy down." It's good. It's good. She's awesome.
It's a good back and forth.
Shout out.
She really is the best.
Shout out Mimi again.
Yes. Shout out Mimi Bovek. So anyway, they win the vacuum cleaner race. And it's from there that we go to another round of hockey. Apparently they really only had 3 games. Yeah. So we're going back to the first game here. And it's Drew and Nicki versus Lewis and Pinky.
Yeah.
Which ostensibly is all the same team. They're all trying to get
all on the
Drew
same
the
team,
fridge.
which is why they're trying to get Pinky to
be on board. Pinky's very aggressive with Drew, like shouting in his face and all this stuff.
Ready to tear his fucking head off.
Lewis is like, "Hey, baby, don't worry, it's okay." Doesn't work. She shoves him, and
Drew just crinkles
immediately
to the ground.
falls. He breaks his arm. I think they say or something. He's wearing all these fucking pads. How did he break?
I was like, exactly.
How does he break anything?
Did he need shoulder pads too?
Yeah.
Did he need?
Anyway, he's down and out for the count. And then we get to the end. We've got one prayer for Drew here. It's the tug of war, and it is
he's in a wheelchair. By the way, at this point,
but we don't even see him. It's just Oswald and Kate, and then Nick. Or I'm sorry, not Nicki.
Oswald and Nicki now.
Oh, a Nicki.
No, sorry. Wait, no, we're talking about tug of war. It was Lewis and it was Nicki.
Fuck, there's too many. We have too many characters. Yes. I'll say it right now.
Right, knock it off.
Right. So anyway.
I miss it when it was 3 locations and 4 guys.
I knew it. I know I was bitching about it back then, but now I'm bitching about it because I look like an idiot on my own podcast.
But the so presumably what I think happened. This is, you could tell me your fan theories later. It was Drew got hurt and they kicked Pinky out for hurting Drew, and now Lewis and Nicki have to team up on the same team.
Yes.
And they're facing
Mimi and
Larry.
That's who it is.
The ultimate challenge.
Yeah, the dynamic duo.
And you're right.
The
tug of war
duo
is not what I would want to face Mimi in.
Well, and also so I guess their anchors are washing machines?
Yes.
So, okay. So you've got to pull a washing machine in addition to the other person.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's Mimi and Lewis doesn't stand a chance. He's outsmarted and he's let go, and Mimi wins the whole thing.
Yeah.
But before they crown her the full champion, who comes in but a hobbled Drew Carey and goes, "I think I could take you on." His arm is in a sling. He's in a wheelchair. He gets up and they give him a crutch.
What a brave man
this
in this moment.
Brave fool. He's a hobbled man. And he basically goes, "Oh, I could take you." When Mimi's like just so pumped with adrenaline of like, I'm going to beat Drew, that she's like, "Okay, fine. Me, you right now, winner gets the fridge." And almost immediately he folds, I think. When he gets, I was like, I'm trying to even think what to say about it. But
he just falls immediately, as you would assume with a guy who needed a crutch to stand up.
Nicki tries her best to motivate him from behind. She's like, think of like all the teachers that said you'd amount to nothing and all the bosses that wouldn't give you raises.
When she was doing that, I was like, damn, that's hitting him with some deep cuts in this moment here.
Well, and Drew's response is my favorite. He's like, damn, that's a lot of people.
That's good.
And he loses again to Mimi, who takes the fridge.
But the way he loses is what it's about.
So he technically wins because he wins for himself. She pulls him with so much force that he goes flying into another fridge.
Yes.
And his head dents the front of the fridge. He hits it with such strength that it fucking dents it.
Dents the front of a fridge, and not the fridge, but a fridge.
Yeah.
And at that point, all his friends go over and they're like, to whoever this warehouse guy or the manager of the games was, and he's like, well, if we give you $50, I mean, you're not going to be able to sell that now, right? Yeah. We can just take that home.
And he's like, as far as I know, it was never even in the warehouse.
Yeah.
So takes it. And then we go home. The wrap-up scene is Drew with Nicki.
And a brand new dented fridge.
And this brand new dented fridge. And they're telling him, I guess he like went unconscious when he hits it.
Yeah.
So they're telling him that he, it was like dented on the truck. And then he's like, did I really win the best, what is it? It's the consolation prize for bravest little soldier.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it was.
Bravest little soldier. He goes, yeah, you did. And then they sit down. She's like, oh, let's watch TV. And he's excited to watch a Cavaliers game. And they sit down. And the way they framed it, I fucking called it out. And
you did while we were sitting there.
I was like, that TV's going to break. And he turns on the TV, and the sparks start going from the back, and it starts smoking. And he goes, oh no, Timmy. And we're going to go through this whole fucking shit again.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a wrap on that.
Dude, could you imagine this is a 2-part episode, and now the next episode
is him trying to fighting for the television? That'd be funny. I do think Drew, though I don't know, I would have thought he had emergency fridge money, but he probably has emergency TV money.
That's a cheaper thing.
Yeah, it's a cheaper thing, and it's also more crucial to his lifestyle. Well, but no, the fridge is pretty good.
I don't know. Yeah. Debatable.
Yeah. I could never imagine him pigging out and reading a book, though. Like, you know what I mean? That's not true, Carey. That's not. I love this credit scene, by the way. We go back to the big stage fridge.
Yes.
And we get Lewis and Oswald. Oswald is dressed up like as in a woman's dress.
Like a damsel.
And Lewis is a cowboy. And they're talking to each other and they go, man, I hate when we get stuck in Drew's dreams. I like all of his dreams taking place in a fridge is very fun. And then they're like talking about previous dreams. They're like, at least there wasn't a gorilla this time or whatever it is. But they're trying to figure out like what this one's going to be. And then that like attractive fitness lady comes out.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is going pretty good. Hey. And then she starts talking and it's Drew's voice coming out of the woman. And she's like, hey, do you guys want to play touch football? And they scream in panic and they're begging Drew to wake up. And that's where we leave it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy this, the idea that all of his dreams take place
in the big fridge.
Fucking rules.
That was great.
Ugh. That is a wrap though on these 2 eps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite out of the 2? I like the games one.
Yeah, the games one was fun. I really liked them both, actually.
Yeah, solid, different.
The games one was fun.
Yeah,
I like one that's kind of its own little plot. Then, like it set it up immediately. What our goals are, and there was a resolution at the end. It not so much was like the Nicki one. It's like pushing the overall plot forward. That stuff's fine, but whatever.
No, I agree. So thank you for listening to all of this. If you want to listen to it on YouTube, you can at youtube.com/@Cleveland Rocks Podcast.
Yeah.
We're on the Instagram. It's Cleveland Rocks Podcast. You can email us anything you want, clevelandrockspodcast@gmail.com. I think that's everything.
I think that
you got anything to plug?
Just subscribe. Yeah. I got nothing to
subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a good review.
Leave us a review. Honestly, that'd be great.
That'd be great.
More reviews.
We'll see you on the next one.
Later,
gang.